Poog? Oh, it's a Poog unicorn. My homies, welcome to Mikey Balls Fishing. Bog is officially transitioning into a unicorn. Celebrate his transition. So we are doing some fall fishing today. I hope you guys will come along with me. If you guys have been paying attention to the videos, we did a massive lure unboxing. We talked to my buddy Miles Murray, who's an epic god out on the TVA. We talked about baits. We talked about techniques. Today we're out here on beautiful Lewis Smith Lake. There's actually a fish that just blew up behind me, and we're going to focus on using some of the baits that we talked about in the video when we did the unboxing, as well as show you kind of some techniques, show you how to fish them. Sometimes, you know, we go through the unboxings and like really the reality is it's like you can talk about a lure, show a lure, maybe mention how to fish it, but when it comes down to the brass tacks, like how do you do it? Like what are the techniques? What are the rod and reel setups? Where are you actually throwing it? Because that, in my opinion, is almost more important than the bait. They both play a really big role, but as you guys like when I do my Al Lindler, 10% of the fish, or I'm sorry, 90% of the water isn't productive, but 10% is, or something like that, you know, or 10% of the fish or 90, you get the idea. The fish are in locations, and really it's important to present your bait in those high percentage locations, otherwise you're just not going to get bit that much. And fall fishing takes that to a T because it is hard to get bit and the fish are spread out. So today, transitioning unicorn bog, you wag your tail. That's awesome. Transitioning unicorn bog and fall fishing techniques. Never tell me that I don't bring you diversity of content. Come along with me. Make sure to that like and subscribe button. Drop down in the comments box if you think bog should transition into something else. It'd be kind of fun. So let's go fall fishing. Let's talk some baits, techniques, and show you how to do them for real. That's what you find on this channel. Hashtag real fishing. Let's go. Not a bunch of them, but you can see them on the side scan. And then you can see the bait over there. You see them popping up here. You can see them on the down scan. See how they show up like a little bit lighter? You can see them on the 2D, but then they show up lighter on the down scan. I love this fish. That fish bit it like 6 times, unless there's a bunch of them down there. No, it's not a giant, but it's a great way to start the day. And that time, she ate it. She ate it, Bo. It's a good start to the day. Let's get back in there. Oh, bite. Got him that time. Guys, this is a really cool bait. She bit it like 3. Oh God, there's like 6 of them with it. It's a little tailspin. This isn't a giant fish, but it's just a cool example of fall lures that you can use. It's a little tailspin from Cumberland Pro. Let me show it to you real quick. Pop off. You got to put it on a super, yeah, she wasn't coming off. Super duper light rod, but see how it's got that little tailspin? Perfect for these fish. We're kind of on a point, and these fish are suspended out on this point. There's none on the graph right now, but we're just throwing along the line. You can see on my C map of the point, and dude, I feel like there's got to be like 6 or 7. They all knocked it. Another one. He just came up and got it. There's a whole pot of them right here. That is awesome. This is a nice little spot. Guys, I threw a swim bait and stuff to these fish, and I know these aren't giant spots, but like they're a lot of fun to catch, and when they won't bite any other lure, think you got something going. Oh, see you later. So we caught a couple fish, and they're not giants, there's no doubt about it, but getting bites in fall to me is as important as catching giants, because you just don't get that many unless you get on a little pod, and that seems to kind of be what happened. And then having the right presentation is key. We talked about this lure, and I'm not going to go way too deep into it, but we talked about this lure in the unboxing. But what it is, it's a Cumberland Pro lure. It's a little kind of float and fly hair jig, but the big trick is it has that little blade on the back, and all we were doing when we were catching those fish is almost fishing it like a swim jig or an underspin or something like that, slinging it out there on a point like what's right behind us, and just kind of slow reeling back. And what's really nice is I love fishing a hair jig, but the problem with fishing the hair jig is it's super, I guess, slow, and you don't get much report from it. What's nice with the little blade on the tail like that, you can feel it thumping, but that leads to another thing. What are we actually fishing it on? Because that's kind of key. This does have a really small hook on it, and I have opened them up because it is a very finesse technique. This is a Halo, what is it, a Black Widow, but the most important part, it's a medium light. It's a 7 foot, I think, medium light, yeah. And I got it spooled up with 15-pound braid to 8-pound Sunline fluorocarbon leader, but it's a super light presentation. Like, check this out. Like, dude, there's nothing to this rod. But the trick is you don't need much with a bait like this because it is an open hook presentation and you don't want to open the hook. So have your drag ready to work when you hook them. But it's a great way, I noticed some fish a little up in the water column. It's a great way to throw bait out, let it sink to the bottom, and you reel it back, and it kind of travels up just above the bottom a little depending on your retrieve, but you kind of just slow roll it. You get that report, and the moment you feel weight, you just lean back. You don't have to do anything more than that. But cool way to catch fish. Let's see if we can get on some more. So I always try to show you guys what I'm fishing, and this is pretty classic, you know, fall, points, back parts of creek. We got the main lake right out there. There's a point that sticks way out back there. You can see it on my C-map. There's a couple pieces of brush, if you guys can see with the glare. We're gonna idle over it because there's tons of them, you know? So how do you pick the one that you actually wanna fish? And I'm gonna show you, this is a great example of one that you wanna fish, because you're either looking for bait or you're looking for the bass. And that's why these electronics are so great, because we can kind of cheat. But watch real close here. So one thing I'll teach you too is with spots, they show up on the 2D a lot better than the structure scan. So you can see these are all spots. All these guys right here. See how they're kind of hard to see on the structure scan? But on the 2D, you get very, very clear representation of them. There's that little piece of brush. There they all stacked up over that little piece of brush, and all around it. You can see them a little bit on the side scan, but that is the real trick. They're very hard to see on down scan or side scan. So really rely on your 2D and trust what you're seeing on it. If you're seeing big arcs, they're probably spots. That might be a better one. I actually stroked the hair jig. They're all over, dude. They are all over. Just got to be real careful. This is that little spin deal again, the Cumberland Pro, and it's got a little tiny hook, so you got to do it on the small rod. But there are a bunch. That's a little better one. It's not giant, but I know there's a bunch down there. I just got to get them to react. God, there's a lot of fish down there. She just crushed it. Did you crush it? You crushed it, bogleg spotted bass. Golly. This might not be giant spots, but it is fun getting some bites, boys. Wonder if them bigger spots are out a little bit deeper. We got them lined up. I marked them on the graph and started throwing my little dingle spin. That's what we're gonna call this joker. So when I'm fishing this thing, there's a lot of different ways you can fish it. Mainly I'll start slow rolling it. Look at all this craziness on the graph, dude. But maybe I'll start slow rolling it, but you can stroke it. You can do a ton of stuff. So just hit the bottom. I put it down on the bottom. It's a 1/4 ounce, and then I'll just start reeling. And you know, like I said, you can pop it up if you. Oh, I just missed one. Try. Got one. Stroking it. Okay, so like I said, you can do a lot of different stuff. It's not a big spot, but there's a lot of different retrieves you can do with it, and you can play with it. Oh, he just coughed up a little shad, which really allows you to cover some water with it, which is what I like about it. God, there's so many fish down there. Oh, you son of a gun. That might be better. Nice one. That's a little pound and a half, 2 pounder. I'm almost wondering, guys. God, they're so pretty down there in the clear water. Come here, come here. That's a brokeback spot, I think. I'm almost wondering if I get the bait a little bit lower in the water column, if I might catch some bigger fish. Look out, Bog. Bog, he ate it. All right, back to your home. Oh, yeah, little guys. Let's settle on back down. And another one will get it. You know, when you're fishing the swim bait or the hair jig, you really don't need much of a hook set. It's just, these are so much fun. You just kind of lean back and make sure your drag is set pretty loose, because you really want it to give a little when you set the hook. Otherwise you're gonna break off, especially with 8 or 6 pound line. Nice. God, they're so pretty, the stripes on them. But you want it to give a little bit. Let me show you how I have mine set. These are those new Daiwas, but you can see it's very easy to pull out. It gives that leader knot a little bit of leeway. It just takes a little bit of pressure off, because you always have to remember too, you're using braid to fluorocarbon, so you have a no stretch line to a semi stretch line. So it's a lot of tension when you put the hammer down on them. That might be a better one. That's so tough to tell. Swim bait, the little micro swim bait. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Not giant, but I mean, when you're stacked on them, you're stacked on them, boys. Whoa, we were stacked on the L spots. We had Bog Unicorn bringing us some luck. A nice little spot. So we're catching a bunch of fish, but remember how we talked about small bait in fall? So we caught one fish and brought it into the boat. That's exactly what they're eating. These small little, Bog, you want to eat that? That's kind of, no, you don't want that. But those small little minnows, and that's why that little tiny spinner bait or swim bait, or that tiny little, that Cumberland Pro tailspin, I think I might even bust out a little hair jig on them, but just something, you know, petite, small, and that stroking it really seems to be key. This is so awesome. I want to cast again. Guys, so we did something kind of fun. So I rigged up this little spot. I rigged up a micro Nico rig. This is a Demiki Stinger, and it's in that bait color. Put a little nail weight. That's that Hayabusa hook we talked about in the video. And I can show you exactly what I'm doing. I'm vertically fishing these guys we're seeing on the graph. There's tons of fish down there, so I'm just dropping it straight down and kind of just shaking it. Fish on. It might be a little bit better one. It's on the Nico rig. I'm just kind of floating it down there. He's running at me. Yeah, it's a little bit bigger. I'm just floating it down there through these suspended fish, and trying to get down to some bigger ones, because I really do think the bigger ones are under them. That's a nice little spot. And he's biting me, and Bog's licking him. Bog, relax. I kind of like that Hayabusa hook. It really hooks him. Try it again. So we talked about the little tailspin, but real quick, so the other setups that I got is this little Nico rig. It's a Demiki Stinger, Hayabusa hook, and then a Nico rig just has that little head weight. I got that on my 610 Halo. This is a KS2 Elite. It's a medium action rod, braid to fluorocarbon, the new Daiwa. And I'm starting to like the little shorter rods, because one thing I'm doing with it is when I see fish on the graph like that, I'm just kind of flipping it out there, letting it get to the bottom, and just kind of shaking it back. And then I got my swim bait, and we've talked about it in the Lanier video, and that on that same rig, a 610. It's medium action. Got a little, it's a Scottsboro head on there. That's really becoming my confidence rig. I don't care if I'm on a spotted bass lake or a largemouth lake. If I'm having trouble getting bites and I want to cover some water, that's really, it's really a go-to, man. Like, I can sling it out there, cover water, cover a lot of different depth lines, and especially in fall, we've talked about it before in the videos. Those fish can be on the bottom. Like today, these fish are like 10, 15 feet off the bottom. They can be suspended way up. They can be on the top. You know, I've actually seen some fish surfacing and throwing some top waters to them. Another great fall choice, but they haven't chewed on it, dude. It seems like they're just a little bit below, and that's what I'm wondering, if the big ones are just down there but still up off the bottom. But those are the setups. You know, a spinning rod comes in awful handy this time of year. It can be a grind, so getting some of that light line and making some presentations where you can cover water and cover a lot of the water column is really important. Had it the whole time. Oh, little guy though. I've never caught this many spots off of one spot in my entire life. This is so freaking cool, dude. I mean, they might not be giants, but fall fishing can be rough. So getting some numbers is a lot of fun. Well, that's going to be a wrap on today, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody say bye to Bog. Quick pattern and bait kind of highlight. You know, we didn't catch any bigs, but today was a really cool example. I was really hoping we catch some, like I had a spy bait rigged up, square bill, double fluke rig, had a big old top water, that cane walker that I showed you guys in the fall lures video, but they just didn't work. I don't know if it's because it was super flat out or what the deal was, if the fish just weren't keyed in. All those are good options, but what was really kind of an interesting note today is we fished a lot of like super light tackle. Spinning rods, medium light, and kind of tiny baits, which we've been talking about. You've seen this guy a lot in the videos lately. That's that Kitech with that ball head. This was the real highlight though, and this thing was fun to fish. This is that little tailspin right there. It's the Cumberland Pro, as Bog licks my ear and you guys can't see, but it's that Cumberland Pro with the little tailspin on it. That thing, just fishing it almost like you're fishing a swim bait, kind of slow rolling it and then stroking a little, was kind of a cool pattern that we figured out. But once again, it's on a medium light rod. You know, we're fishing kind of light tackle, and I know they're spotted bass, but still, even the largemouth, when you find them in those back pockets, you got to throw that tiny stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll put links to all the stuff that I used or talked about down in the description box at Tackle Warehouse. Bog wants pets, and Bog, you want dinner too. You done transitioning into a unicorn? You're over that. If you guys got any fall tips or anything like that, drop them down in the comments box. I always like hearing your perspectives on that. We're gonna get back out and we're gonna catch some giants, but today was fun. It's always fun bending the rod and catching a bunch. We probably caught like 30 fish, dude. Like it was a lot of fun, and like back to back. There was one point where I think I had like 5 casts and caught 5 fish. So you can't go wrong with that, dude. I dig that. I'm not tournament fishing. I'm fun fishing, and I love bending the rod. Thank you guys for watching though. We are out. Bog, say goodbye. Can you talk? No? Peace.